Hello and welcome to Pixel Game Maker Tutorial 3. Where we left off, we had a small little game with some bad guys walking around. They go back and forth like so, but we can't actually get to the end of this level. Once we get to the end, there's no transitioning or anything like that, and we don't even fall off the edge right now. So we're going to fix a few of these things today, maybe add a little bit of a health bar and some transitions, and a few other bits and pieces. So the first thing that we're going to do today is just go through to resources, and we've got a few more resources that we're going to add. Just like last time, you can find the resources in the description below. So first off, we're going to actually be adding 2 more animations to the player folder right now. So go and find your folder where you've downloaded the assets, tutorial 3, player, and we're going to add these 2 falling animations. Awesome. And the other thing is we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call this folder health bar. So we're going to be adding a health bar in this tutorial. Okay, right click, add image. And also now if we go over to our assets folder, we'll find it in collectibles, green and red apples. Perfect, and we're going to use those to display our health in a bit. Now that we've added our resources, we're going to go over to animations, and we're going to add these animations in. Now, the first thing that we need to do, because we're going to be adding a falling animation. So at the moment, what happens, I'll just show you. When our character jumps, she just kind of raises her hand up in the air and waves it around like she just doesn't care. But there's no interesting things that happen on the way down. So we're going to add an animation where on the way down she'll change what she looks like. And also the other thing that we've got a problem with is when we jump, I didn't show you that time, but on the way up we actually hurt the enemy, which I only want us to hurt the enemy when we're going downwards. So let's do that now. Right click on player, we're going to add animation settings, and all the way down here we're going to click and add our new settings, our new animations. We're going to just add fall left, and we're going to add fall right. And it's just under, player, fall right. There we go. And click OK on that one. And while we're here, we're going to add a new animation as well. We're just going to call this animation health bar. And we're going to add those apples that we had into this health bars animation. Okay. Perfect. So the easiest way to actually do this is we're going to copy the jump animation and we're going to paste it. So just Control C, Control V. And call this one fall. And this is actually really fast to do. Once we've clicked on our jump animation, we're going to change it so the right direction is now going to be, boom, the right fall direction. And look at that. All of that is still kept the same. And same with the left direction. And there we go, perfect. I think I'll actually increase this hit detection for the jumping, make it a little bit nicer. And let's move it down so it's a little bit further below. I'll do it for the other side as well. So just a 20 by 5 hitbox with 3 pixels below the actual image there. Okay. So that's all we have to do there. We're going to go back to jump and get rid of the hitbox, the attack detection from this animation here, just by selecting attack detection and pressing delete. Because we don't want our upwards jump to cause any damage, we only want our downwards falling to actually hurt the enemy. That's all we got to do for the motion for the player 1. And now we'll move over to the health bar. Now we're going to first rename this one to full. So when our health bar is full, it's going to have a little green apple there. Okay, and we'll do all that. And we can just put that on a never-ending loop. It doesn't really matter about the origin. We're not going to be not going to be rotating. It's going to be in the UI layer. But when we get to here, we want to hit infinite loop. There we go. Let's add a new one. This one we are going to call empty. And we're going to change this empty, the directions don't matter because when this apple's not going to be going left or right or anything like that, but we are going to change it to red. So when it's empty, we're going to make it flash red. And the way we do that is we just change the frame count here to 5. We're going to copy and paste this paste it once. We're going to select this and all the way down where it says, oh, if I can find it, opacity. We're going to turn that off. We don't need any opacity. So we're going to have 5 frames of it being there, 5 frames of it not being there. So hold down shift and select those two, copy, paste, paste, and now it's going to flash. It's going to go, it's hard to see in this one, but it's going to have a little flash animation there. We don't want an infinite loop here, otherwise it'll just constantly flash. We want it to flash 3 times and then disappear from our screen with that final opacity 0 animation. Okay. So that's pretty simple. We've got our animation sorted. We need to now go back into objects. And we've got our player object here. So what we're going to do is actually get this jumping animation to be a bit nicer. Okay. Oh, got a little bit of a bug there. That's no good. Let me just go out and... It's early access. This happens sometimes. Alright. So over here where it has the jump animation, we're actually going to create a new animation. And the way I was going to do this, because let's just copy and paste it. So Control C, Control V for now. And we'll scroll up and we'll call this one fall. And we want to change the actual animation that's playing here, the motion, to our fall motion. Okay. The attack settings we want to leave the same, but we want to untick perform jump, because we don't want it to continuously perform jumps here. We do want to go back to our jump action and get rid of our attack setting from that one, because our attack is only going to happen on the downward fall. Then we're going to link these together. So from jump, we're going to go fall, going to click it, awesome, and we're going to add a condition. Now this condition is going to be in panel 2, it's going to be jump peak reached. So once it reaches the peak of the jump, it's going to go into the fall animation. But we're also going to add one more thing. We're going to add a link backwards, back to jump. And on this one, we're going to make it so that if we hit an enemy with our jump, our falling animation, we're actually going to do another jump. Very, very Mario-esque like. And the way that we do that is just by ticking collision detection with another object. So we tick that one and we're going to select enemy group. So that is if our attack detection is touching the enemy group, and make sure you hit the lower attack detection, the lower arrow there. Click OK. So I'll show you what that looks like now, actually, before we go much further. So now, oh, I forgot to I forgot to set it up so we didn't so we got out of that animation when we hit the ground. So let's do that first. So we're going to add a link from fall over to waiting. And let's move it up here so we can see it a bit better. Now this link we're going to have contact with tile direction. Tile's wall direction, and that's going to be if we contact a tile, when we hit the ground, we're going to go back into our waiting state. Okay. So let's try that again. So, boing, boing, boing. Aha, see? Jumped on his head, and we did another jump straight away afterwards. Perfect. Okay. But you'll notice one thing that will happen now is when we try and walk off an edge, we don't have that falling animation. We just kind of fall. Instead of doing that kind of fall, we just plop to the ground, and we want to fall. So we're going to put another link from waiting over to fall. And this one's going to be contact with tile, walls tile direction. Same thing as we did last time, but this time around we're going to click this button here, which just means the opposite. So this is now whenever there is no contact with a wall direction, we're going to go into the fall state from the waiting state. And we're going to do the same with walk. And we just add contact with tiles wall detection, bottom, okay, and it's not going to happen. Okay, so now when we fall off objects, we go into that falling state, and that's a little interesting thing. Sometimes I think we just got caught on the edge there, and we just go down like that. Okay. So now that we've got that working, so we've got our jump, we've got our fall, we've got our walk, and we've got our hurt and death animations. There is one more thing that we want to do, because right now we want to have a new action. This one we're going to call off screen. So this is what's going to happen if our character goes off screen. And we're just going to set that animation to death, because we're going to die when we go off screen. A bit sad, but you know. Make sure down here we ignore our input and move directions. And we're actually going to go here and we're going to change this variable. And we're going to go object self, the health, sorry, not the switch, we want to go variable, object self, and we want to change HP will now equal 0. So when we go off screen, we're going to die and our health variable is going to become 0. And now we've got to link that to everything. And this is pretty simple. We just hit a link and we hit other condition settings, hit the tick, and we go over to tab 2 here and tick going off camera. And this will say if we're going off camera, this action is going to happen. We're going to set the distance to about 16. That means that if we accidentally just scrape the edge of the camera, we're not going to die, but we need to be 16 pixels, or rather dots, out before it'll start to kill us. Okay, so that's great, and we're going to do that for the rest of our animations, because otherwise if you're walking and you're off screen, you'll be fine, and we don't want that to happen. Now let's just go through and set up each one of these links, and it can be a little bit time consuming to do this, but that's okay. Here we go. And one more link there. Now I'm not going to change any of the hurt or death animations down here, because the hurt animation only plays for a short amount of time, and then it will go over to our waiting, and then that will kill us. So we don't have to link absolutely everything. Otherwise we get just a huge mess jumble of different things, and we don't want that. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is add a folder. I'm going to call this player. I'm going to call it just make a player folder, and then move our player into our player folder. Oopsie. And move that folder into the root directory above enemy. I like to keep it there. Then in this player folder, we're going to add a new object, and we're going to call this health bar. And we're going to call it health bar 1, because we're going to have 3 of these little apples showing up, because we have 3 health. And we click down to health bar. Now it doesn't really matter too much, any of this, because it's going to be on a whole different layer, and it's really not going to matter too much. But look, I'm just going to turn off everything, because it's not meant to connect with anything right now. Okay, so we've got a little apple here, and we're going to just rename this apple. We're going to rename it over here just to full. So this is what will happen when it's displaying full. I'm going to add an action. I'm going to rename this one to empty. Okay, and we're going to make that the empty motion. We've got our full state, we've got an empty state. We just need to add links between them now. So full state, is the starting state, and we're going to say this link here is going to be it's going to be a variable. So we're going to actually check the variable of another object. And the way we do that is switch your variable changes. So the variable is going to be the condition, and we're going to check if if player 1's object is going to have a HP of greater than or equal to 1. Cool. If it has a HP of greater than or equal to 1, full will, it actually has to be the other way around. So it has to be less than or equal to 1 this direction. So less than or equal to 1, once again, not less than or equal to 1, math is bad, less than 1, there we go. So anything less than 1, we're going to show empty. Alright, then on the link back, we're going to do the same thing but in the opposite direction. So click the switch variable changes, set the variable as condition, player 1. Now this time is going to be greater than or equal to 1. So if HP is greater than or equal to 1 in this direction, it will fill back up to full. That will let us gain health later on. Now we need 3 of these apples, so the way we're going to do that is select the apple here, go Control-C, Control-V, Control-V, or Command-V if you're using a Mac. Okay. Now just rename these ones here. We need to change the name over to health bar 2 and health bar 3. Call them whatever you want, health apples, just like health bar. There we go. And then all we've got to do is to make these things work is go through and actually just say, oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to save the game because it seems that the program might be having a small amount of difficulty. All right, there we go. So all we've got to do here is change the variable numbers on both of these links. And the way you do that is just double click it and up this by 1. And the same with this one, up this by 1. Then health bar 3. Going to go here, up this by 1. Oh, rather, we need to up that one by 2. And same with this guy here, up by 2. Okay, so we've got our apples, and we've got our player animation. Now that we've got the apple, the health bar, the player animation, all we've got to do now is actually put them into our scene. So, back to our scene. This scene's not super big, so we're actually going to change the settings of this scene. And the way we do that is we just right-click the scene here and go change scene settings, or rather scene settings. Okay, now here we can change it to be 2 widths long, and this means that whatever resolution you've set, the map's going to be 2 of those resolutions wide. And what we need to do as well, let's scroll up to the top. Here we need to change our default menu screen to menu 1, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. So essentially that just means menu scene here is going to display on top of this scene, which will matter for our UI later on. Then we go to our accessible area by player, we hit all, and then we hit our accessible area by camera and hit all. Then we actually want to increase the accessible area by the player so that we can actually fall down these pits, because as it stands right now, we're just standing on top of the pits, but we need enough room for our sprite to actually be completely disappear when it goes in those pits. So let's make it 52 there, and that means that's just the size of the player sprite, so we can fall down that hole. Okay, so now that we've done that, we'll scroll down, scroll up, make sure there's nothing else, and we'll click OK. Now while we're here, we want to make this map a little bit cooler. At the moment, it's a bit of a weird looking map, and the best way to start again is we just select everything with this select bar, and we hit delete. And then we go to our objects, and let's get rid of our spikes for now. We can add them back in a second. Okay, so let's make a cute little map to start off with. Just bear with me as I make this map a bit nicer. Here we go. Let's clap that one off there, and let's make a little bit of a platform jump, another platform jump, and then let's make this one a little bit higher. Okay. Doesn't have to be anything too complicated. I was making it... Oh, whoopsie. That'll sometimes happen. Okay. So now that we've got that, let's make a few more platforms that go up and down. So let's grab these ones here and let's go up, 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 and down, down. And let's go down one more. And let's cap it off here. Actually, let's do that. All right. Okay, so we've got a little level going now. We're going to add our enemies back in by going to the object panel and selecting our enemy spikes. And we're going to pop one here. About 4 away, we're going to put another one. And about 4 away, we're going to pop another one. And let's have a guy over here. Guy over here. And a guy over here. There we go. Now, these little guys are actually going to start moving when we can't see them, but we don't want that. So let's go back over to our objects panel for a second. And we're going to go to our enemy spike here. And in basic settings, there is an option to say, don't start moving until it's on camera. And the way we do that is essentially just by clicking the condition to start motion. We're going to say camera comes near, and we're going to say when it comes within one tile, when the camera comes within one tile of the characters, then they'll start moving. So they'll start moving when they're off screen, but at least the camera is going to be close by. I'll quickly save that, and we'll go back to our scene list here. Okay, so that means these guys back here aren't going to start moving until we get close to them. Alright. Now that we've done that, what we're going to do is just test to see if we die when we go off camera and things like that, and then we'll add our UI elements in after. So let's go boing, 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 blip. Yep, and we can't move around. We are dead down there. Okay. So what we want to do now is actually add our health bars in. And the way we do that is we just go over to scene, and we go to menu scene. I'll zoom in a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Let's go to 200, and we're going to go down to the bottom corner here. And the way we do that is just going to add these health bars in. And these health bars, let's just put them all in here. They seem a bit small, but we're going to increase the size of them. So the way you do that is just over where it says scale on the right, we're going to set the scale to 200. That way we've got quite big apples. And we're going to set 200 scale for each of them. Now I'm pretty sure that I set all these to not being affected by gravity, but let's just double check, otherwise we're going to lose our apples off the screen. So we'll go back to objects, check out our apples, check here. No, so we need to go to each action and say not affected by gravity, otherwise they will fall out of the map. And we do not want that, as hilarious as it would be. Okay. And save. Back over to there. Now, we can adjust the exact positioning of these to your heart's content, but for now, I'm just going to put them a little bit to the side. You can actually select all of them and move them as a unit. Oh. Let's, that did not work. So you can actually select all of them and move them as a unit, but you have to not have something already selected. So you just right click to get rid of whatever you're holding before. And let's just move these into position. And if you want to, you can nudge them with your arrow keys here, just to get them into a nice spot. Okay, and look, that'll do for now. We can come back and tweak that a bit later. So let's just see if that's working. And we'll go into our game, and we've got them just below. They're a bit high up. I might just move them a little bit below where they are now, and let's just say about there. And if you want to get really precise, you've got the numbers on the right here that you can actually change. So if I wanted to, I can change each of these to 685, and I think that's what I'm going to do, 685, just to get them the right height. 685. And now if we go back in, you'll see, boom, oh, and we lose health. And when we lose health, boom, it flashes. Also, you'll notice we haven't actually changed this camera settings, but as default, it will follow your character. So when you move around, you'll actually have that character following around, and you notice that guy didn't move until we got close to him. Bang. Okay. And let's get to the end. Now, we don't have any portals here to make us go to the next level, and let's actually add one in. Okay, so the way we add a portal in, the first thing we got to do is go back to our scene level 1, and let's zoom out a little bit so we can see everything. So we're going to actually add a portal to the end spot here, but the first thing we need to do is actually have another level. The way we do that is just copy and paste to get a new level here. I'm going to change the name of this level to level 2. But we don't want any of the actual stuff in level 2, so we're going to go through, click to tile, click to select tool here. I'm going to select it all and just delete it. We don't need it. Oh, I don't think we got all that, so let's select again. Scroll across and select the rest of this. Let's get rid of these enemies. And actually get rid of the player as well. You don't want the player in level 2 because we're actually going to teleport the player over. Okay. And all we want here is a small platform that the player can stand on when they get to the other side, just to see that level 2 transitioning works. And the way we actually put these portals in is we go over to the Transitions tab. Once we're in the Transitions tab, all we've got to do is right-click, add a portal. And it will have some portal settings. The first thing here, placement scene, we want to place this one on level 1 and portal B on level 2. We also want this portal to be one directional, so we don't want it to be able to come back to the scene that we've gone from before. So the way we do that is just unclick that one there, so that way it will only be a one-way from A to B. And we want to change it to placement layer to map for each one. Okay. The other thing that we want to do is just change the size and position. Now, I like to set them to 32 by 16, so the X is going to be 16 and the size is going to be 32 on each. That way you kind of have to get quite close to the edge of the map before it will teleport you to the next one. And let's zoom out. And you can either manually input your position or you can click and drag it, and I'm going to click and drag it. So it should start up the top right of your map. But if you click and drag it all the way to the bottom right here, that way when your player hits that location, you'll teleport to the next area. And you can actually set it up for the A to B settings here. There's a whole bunch of different settings you can change. For example, you can get it so only when all players are touching it or anything like that, but we're going to keep it to when any player touches. It doesn't matter too much for us. And this one, the Portal B settings, we're just going to push this one down to the bottom and click and drag. Let's zoom out a bit. Oh, can't really click it properly from there. Okay. Click and drag all the way to the bottom. And now when we get to the end of our map, we should be teleporting. But let's test that out. So we're going to go File, Save, and give it a test. Boing, boing. Oh, got hurt there. Hopefully don't fall. Here we go. Notice that this guy we'll be able to jump from platform to platform if it's higher. And this guy's just going to fall to his death. Okay, so we go here, and nothing happens. That's no good. Okay, so let's see what we messed up. Okay, so I worked out what it was. Yeah, so you'll only teleport through these teleporters if you touch the top left corner of the teleportation box. So we're going to make these 16 by 16 instead of 32 by 32 and put them a little bit lower. And that should be able to fix it up. And let's do the same on this side here. Okay. So now when we touch the top left corner of this box, we should teleport, and we'll give that a go right now. Okay, boing, boing, boing. Jump up. Wait for this guy. There we go. And... Oh. Well, we... Oh, strange. We teleported when we jumped, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Okay, let's try one more thing. So we're going to make this 32 by 32, and we're going to make sure it's right on the edge there, because it could be a size issue, which is what I immediately thought. So let's try that now. Because we don't want it to be that only when you jump that you teleport from one location to the other. That would be a bit strange. And it doesn't look like there's anything here that we need to do. So let's go back in, try that again. We might even move our character over to the left a little bit to test it out without having to go through this whole rigmarole of the level. But we'll just see if it works this time, so we don't have to move our player character. So... fingers crossed that this works now. Boom, there we go. Awesome, it was just a bit too small. So make sure you do make the transitions big enough to detect. I make sure that we don't have a transition going back the other way. Okay, so that's everything that I wanted to show off for this tutorial. If you're enjoying this series, please leave a like and comment in the description below. And if you have any questions or comments, or you know what you want to see in the next couple of tutorials, please leave them in the comments below as well. I'll see you next time.